It was an Easter bomb plot that paved the way for the return of Sri Lanka's most famous political dynasty. The April 21st attacks carried out by Islamic extremists shook Sri Lanka to its core and thrust national security back into the spotlight after nearly a decade of peace. The atmosphere of fear heightened calls for a strong leader, and that call was answered by former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa, who announced his candidacy for the presidency less than a week after the attacks.
Gotabaya Rajapaksa has a reputation of being someone who is very strongly singular, majoritarian and authoritarian.
Gotabaya is the brother of Mahinda Rajapaksa, whose decade-long presidency ended in 2015 amidst growing allegations of corruption, brutality and nepotism. If Gotabaya wins, it's expected Mahinda would become Prime Minister.
According to the 19th Amendment, the position of the Prime Minister is as influential or more than that of the Executive President.
While the Rajapaksas are widely popular among Sri Lanka's majority Buddhist Sinhalese, their return to power would instill fear into many of Sri Lanka's minority Tamils and Muslims. The Rajapaksas are credited with ending a 3-decade-long civil war against Tamil separatists in 2009. But so too do they stand accused of overseeing atrocities, particularly in the bitter final months of the conflict.
Tamils suffered, quite disproportionately. They have memories of the extreme suffering that they experienced during the war, the tens of thousands of civilians killed in the final months, which was partly the responsibility of the Tamil Tigers, but was principally the responsibility of the government.
Muslims, meanwhile, have been targeted since the Easter attacks in sporadic bouts of mob violence, spearheaded by Buddhist nationalists. Some members of the Rajapaksas party have been implicated and accused of both participating in and ratcheting up anti-Muslim violence.
Part of a strategy by the Rajapaksas then to sort of strengthen their support among the Sinhalese by encouraging others to present the Muslims as a threat to the Sinhalese and the singular Buddhist character of the country.
The Rajapaksas have always championed a Sinhalese-centric brand of Sri Lankan nationalism, and neither Muslims or Tamils are likely to warm to Gotabaya's campaign. But even many Sinhalese remain distrustful of the Rajapaksas. Mahinda stands accused of running Sri Lanka like a familial fiefdom during his presidency. An estimated 50% of the nation's public spending was controlled by members of the Rajapaksa family.
The brother Chamal, who was the Speaker of Parliament, the brother Basil, who was an important minister and one of the kind of political brains of the family, plus the son of Mahinda, Namal, who's an MP, plus lots of cousins, lots of uncles and so forth, who had quite senior positions.
The brazen nepotism of Mahinda's rule happened alongside a campaign of brutal political repression. The Rajapaksas won the war, but they quickly lost the peace. Even after winning in a landslide election in 2010, they still found enemies everywhere.
Gotabaya was then the head of the de facto head of the police and the military during a period where there was just literally thousands of unexplained disappearances and murders and political assassinations of Tamil politicians. There is reason to fear that that there will be a real challenge to democratic politics if the Rajapaksas come back to power.
Standing in Gotabaya's way is Sajith Premadasa. His father once served as president and was killed by a Tamil Tiger bomb blast in 1993.
He's also, I think, pitched himself as more of a man of the people. As housing minister for many years, he's built a lot of houses. He's spent a lot of time in the rural areas, making himself known and apparently, convincing a lot of people that he really cares.
Having served as a minister in the current government, he will need to convince voters he can offer something different. His government of the last 5 years, led by President Maithripala Sirisena, a former Rajapaksa ally, and Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, has been characterised by bitter infighting and unfulfilled promises. Premadasa has hinted he will install a new Prime Minister and has championed issues like poverty reduction.
He's presenting himself as someone who will shift his own party away from the kind of neoliberal, super capitalist, export, internationally oriented party towards a more welfare state kind of serve the average people kind of party.
Gotabaya Rajapaksa has promised to get things done, and few doubt he would fulfill that promise. But many would fear it would come at the expense of vulnerable minorities and fragile civil liberties. Sri Lankans could once again gamble on hope and elect Sajit Premadasa, but years of government dysfunction and heightened security fears could see them fall back into the arms of a strongman.